our next speaker for the day, before I go on to that, as I said, you can ask your questions on www.menti.com. There's a code for it, you can click onto that. There is a simpler way to do it, of course. All of you have been given a small sheet of paper and a pen. Lots of volunteers around, all of us are wearing our badges. You can call any of the crew here and hand over your question in a paper format to them, and they will pass it on to the person who's looking after the question and answer session. We'll have a question and answer session after 2 more speakers for the day. We're also having a small presentation by my wife Purnima on Splash, our workshop. Let me remind you that this program has been organized by the Samarpan Awareness Foundation, and you'll know a little bit more about that after this. Our next speaker for the day is a neurologist and a neurosurgeon. So there are few people who will become a neurologist. There are few people who will become a neurosurgeon. And there must be only one person that I know of personally who is a neurologist and a neurosurgeon. It gives me intense pleasure and a big honor to invite on stage Dr. Prithika Chary. May I please request Tanya to bring her up on stage. Give her a big hand.
Good morning to all of you, and thank you for being here. Thank you, OYE, for inviting me. Thank you, Purnima, for having so much confidence that I can be part of this program. And thank you, God, for me being able to be here. You'll know as I go along why this extra special thank you is there. I also thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share my life's learnings with you today. I have had a blessed life. Like everyone's life, mine too was a roller coaster. There were ups, there were downs, there were twists, there were turns. But I'm extremely grateful that through it all, I've been able to stay on track. And for that, I really express gratitude. I'm also fortunate for another reason, because I found my purpose in life very early. From the age of 2 years, I wanted to be a doctor. So I played doctor, I acted doctor, I spent evenings and holidays volunteering with a doctor, worked hard, got good marks so that I could ensure my getting a medical seat. Unfortunately, many of us go through life not realizing our purpose. And so what we do is we start enduring life instead of enjoying life. And the overwhelming number of distractions, especially for youth today, there are distractions, there are involvements, there are influences, so many that you get further confused. And it's important for all of us, irrespective of age or stage, if you're not quite sure what your purpose is, slow down a little. Sit down, in solitude preferably, so that other people don't throw stuff into your head. And think about what your life is like and ask yourself, are you living your ideal life? I do a lot of workshops, motivational workshops, stress management, improving brain potential, etc. But one thing I recommend in every single workshop is start your day and end your day with gratitude. We're all blessed with a lot of things, but we are so busy focusing on the things we don't have that we stop counting our blessings. And once a week, make an appointment with yourself. Sit down quietly, make the place beautiful, enjoyable, and very pleasant. If need be, sit in nature. And really think about what is it how you have lived your life, how you want to live your life, and what is actually happening with you at the moment. And I think just that little exercise, these 2 exercises, will actually transform your life. Because and remember, the graveyards are not sad places because dead people are buried there. It's because a lot of dreams are also buried there, unfulfilled dreams. Because people went through life, had dreams, but never did anything about it. Look at these young boys, the Pohiwalas. They just went for it whole hog, and look how they're doing. And you could sense their energy, their enthusiasm, their joy. That is the way we have to live life. I became a physician. I took a PhD, then I did my DM neurology, and I was practicing as a neurologist. I was doing very well. I was in the Apollo hospitals. I worked in government service for a while, and everything was going very well. But then somewhere along the way I got frustrated, because in neurology, around 25% of the diseases have really big unpronounceable names, extremely expensive tests. And after that, we tell you, sorry, I have nothing to offer you. And this was really upsetting me, because I would go back home some days and say, I'm useless. What's the point of my being a doctor, a neurologist, neurosurgeon, whatever? I'm not really helping people. And if I had to continue to get joy in my work, I had to do something to change that. That is when I started focusing on a condition called epilepsy, which is mirgi, convulsions, seizures, whatever you want to call it. Epilepsy is a condition where there is a lot of misunderstanding, lot of myths, lot of stigma, lot of marginalization, because people don't really understand the disorder. Also, it's a very dramatic thing which happens. It hinders your presence in society sometimes. And there's a lot of misconception that you cannot study, you cannot work, you cannot marry, you cannot have children. And it usually affects young people. So I said, okay, here is a brilliant opportunity for me to really feel fulfilled at the end of the day. And so I started an epilepsy center in 1994. I called it Epicenter. It's an acronym for Epilepsy Institute and Center for Treatment, Training, Research and Education. So comprehensive. And I started focusing on and working with people with epilepsy. There were lots of challenges. When I wanted to start Epicenter, I went and talked to my professors, because my entire savings was 5 lakhs at the time, and I was willing to sink it all. He talked about entrepreneurship. One of the things you do when you venture on your own kind of ambition, you have to be willing to take risks. And I thought I didn't have enough money. Let me see if I can raise money by asking my professors, my colleagues to join. Everybody told me I was insane. They said, you're crazy. So I'm fulfilling the entrepreneur criteria of being crazy. And they said, with a single disease in neurology, you want to have a specialization. You want to have a center. That's all nonsense. So whole neurology, we'll join you. Everybody discouraged me, except one professor, Professor B. Ramurthy. He said, I personally cannot help you, but I think it's a great idea, just go ahead. And I'll be celebrating the 25th anniversary of Epicenter this June. The challenges just dissolved away because I had a passion for what I was doing. I loved what I was doing. I was enjoying changing the lives of people. And I know I've touched and changed thousands of lives. In fact, Oprah Winfrey asked her mentor, I want to do something to leave a legacy. And her mentor told her, you don't have to go and build a school in Africa or do anything like that for leaving a legacy. Every life you have touched is your legacy. And I think we have tried to do that so that we leave a legacy of people who have hope, people who are able to live their lives as much as possible as normal people in society. So once you know what really gives you joy and satisfaction, you'll find doing it with love gives you happiness. How do you recognize if this is what your purpose is? If there is something when you're doing, you don't even notice the time. It comes easily to you. You just sort of flow when you're doing it. That is your innate talent. So unless you slow down, stop, sit down and analyze it a bit, you will not recognize the area where your purpose may be. Some of us the earlier speakers, they found their purpose. They did MBA, engineering, this, that, and the other, and then they found their core purpose in life by doing something which gives them total fulfillment. So we need to spend some time. I was lucky. I knew what I wanted to be. God put me on this earth to be a doctor. But not all of us are very clear on our purpose. So try and identify your purpose. I had a happy childhood, and we all form certain blueprints by what we hear, what we model, and what we experience. If you grow up hearing that money is bad, rich people are bad, and you witness your parents fighting over money, or you have to live with poverty and everything you want in your life you're told you cannot afford it, what happens to you is your blueprint for money becomes one of lack. Even when you become very rich, you always feel you don't have enough, you feel insecure when it comes to money. But fortunately, blueprints can be rewritten. So through our creative karma workshops, we try to rewrite your blueprint. And I think your splash workshops are trying to do the same thing. And remember, the mind is extremely powerful and can manifest miracles if used well. I have had a great life doing what I love, giving and receiving love from so many, a life of abundance, getting what I want and need when I need it in the quantity I need it, whether it is money, help, support, or love. But to experience this, you need to look at your glass being half full rather than half empty. And a student once approached a Zen master and said, I want more from life. So what do you suggest I do? The master did not reply. You know, in Zen, very often these masters leave the riddle for you to solve. So he brewed some tea, he made himself a cup of tea, filled his cup to the right level, then put out a cup for the student and started pouring the tea and kept pouring. It was overflowing. And the student said, Sir, stop, the cup is overflowing. And the Zen master said, there is your answer. How many of you know the answer? We have to empty our cup periodically. We have to give of ourselves to the world. Then the universe will keep filling. So please understand, the power of giving is probably the biggest power in the world. Because when you care about others, your life automatically transforms. And we've had two speakers today. We've had two speakers this morning who have proved it to you. And I, in spite of challenges, I gave up a lot of things in order to make Epicenter a success. And I can tell you I'm one of the happiest people on earth. Then there was a professor once who went to a class and he told the students, I'm going to have a glass jar here, some big pebbles, small pebbles, some sand, some water. He first put the big pebbles in the bottle right up to the top and asked the class, is the jar full? Everybody said, yes, it's full. Then he took the small pebbles and put it into that, and the jar accommodated the small pebbles. Then he asked them, is it full? They said, yes, it's full. Then he did the same thing with sand. Again, the sand was able to trickle and enter the gaps. Then is it full? Yes, it is full. Then he poured water. Water also could be accommodated in that. Then he said, this is the analogy for your priorities. When you put in the big pebbles first, they are the most important things in your life. They are your health, your family, your personal growth, and your personal well-being. The smaller pebbles are your work, your school, whatever. They are the less important things. The sand is all the distractions, all the waste stuff. And the water is what, when people try to pull you away from your dream and try to divert you. So he says, if you put in the sand and the water first, there's no place for the bigger pebbles or the smaller ones. So prioritize your lives. Focus on the important things. And let me emphasize again and again, I say this, that the most important thing probably you should focus on, especially the youngsters, throughout your life is your health. And as a doctor, I can't repeat it once too often. If you don't have health, all your dreams, your wealth, everything is useless because you cannot enjoy it. So focus on your health, focus on family, focus on relationships. Tell people whom you love that you love them. Tell them now, because suddenly they may not be there tomorrow. Tell your parents, tell your sisters, brothers, friends, whatever. Show them your affection, demonstrate your love. Don't say, I'll wait for this to happen, that to happen before I express my love. And if you do that, you'll find that your own personal life transforms. I have had a long and healthy life. I was not perfect, but I took reasonable care to nurture and care for myself. I was overweight, developed diabetes and hypertension, was not eating or exercising at optimum level. And then life happened. In 2016, it was a landmark year in my life because I was overworked, overstressed, faced loneliness, betrayal from many sources, and on the whole, lost my sense of purpose and became a bit depressed. It's very difficult to imagine a person like me being depressed because I'm this positive gung-ho person all the time. But something happened in 2016 which made me that way. I did not need to care about anybody in my immediate environment because I'm a single lady, I'm earning well, I'm economically independent in every other way, and I didn't really have to bother. I was thinking, okay, I've done all this, I've achieved all this, what's the point? What more is there? So in a way, it was happening because of my success. So understand that failure alone cannot pull you down. Sometimes success will pull you down because you just get tired of the success. It's a stupid way of reacting, but it did happen. And all this negativity, what did it do to me? December 2016, I was diagnosed with cancer rectum. And I genuinely believe I brought it upon myself. Because that 1 year, I was not the real me. And not being, I've till 69, I've had a very good, healthy life. So what's a big deal? But it hit me and I got the rectum cancer grade 3. Fortunately for me, I'm a doctor, so I asked for a checkup and went, and we diagnosed it early enough before it spread to the rest of the body. Then I had to sit down and think, how am I going to see this through? Who is going to be with me? I have 2 elderly sisters whose health is in poorer shape than mine. I have lots of friends, lots of colleagues, but I have maybe 4 or 5 very close friends. I don't have 20, 30 friends. So I slowed down, I sat down and thought about how am I going to deal with this. The diagnosis of cancer did not scare me as much as how am I going to cope, which scared me. And I prayed, I meditated, I spent time in reflection. And I did not do that in self-pity or ask why me, but asked for guidance how to manage it. And then I set 3 guideposts. The first guidepost was that no matter who or how much they love you, they cannot suffer your disease for you. You have to face it. So the sooner you accept it, grasp it by the horns, do everything in your capability to overcome it, the sooner you're going to get it behind you. The second guidepost was, I've been very independent all my life and I don't usually ask for help for most things I manage on my own. In fact, sometimes I feel embarrassed asking for help because I feel I'm burdening somebody else. But the second guidepost which helped me through was I exposed my vulnerability to the world. Being vulnerable is not cowardice, it is courage. So I asked anybody, everybody for every kind of help. But I did not do that in a whining way and or a have pity on me way. I just clearly explained to them what I needed. In general, people around us are nice people. They want to help us. But sometimes they don't know how to help us. So we have to be very clear in expressing what we need and how we need it. I did that. There was a period after my surgery where I was told that I must have a responsible person sitting in the room 24 hours in case the doctors had to say something which they could not tell me. And where will I go for such a person? I can't make, my sisters cannot sit with me every day and night for 10 days, 15 days and all that. They had their lives to live. So I have a WhatsApp group of my friends. For 30 people, I sent a message. This was 1 month before my surgery, saying, Can you do bedside duty for 3 hours, 10 to 1 shift, or 3 to 7? You will be given 24 hours notice. It will be after the 10th of August when my surgery will take place. I got back 25 replies. So we put duty roster and my friends came and sat. They'll sit there reading Earl Stanley Gardner, I'll be sleeping in the bed. Fine, super. So it worked. So my friends rallied round and they really did so much. I had a bag called an ileostomy which was put for 3 months, which means the stool that is formed does not come through the normal opening, it goes into the bag. It's quite a difficult thing to live with. And you need special diets. Now where will I go for special diets? If I put a cook, he'll cook the usual stuff. And you won't believe, all my friends sent me food by turns. So 1.5 years of treatment, radiation, chemotherapy, surgery, ileostomy closure, complications of radiation, just flew. And I asked God, how am I going to cope? He showed me that there are people who will help me to cope. And another important thing that I have come out of this cancer has given me is, it gave me a lot of insight that actually nothing should stop us in life. The third guidepost was, I had diabetes, it didn't stop me. I had blood pressure, it didn't stop me. I had a head injury and a blood clot in my brain in 2014, that didn't stop me. So why should cancer stop me? So even in the middle of the radiation, chemotherapy, etc., I would see patients, a few patients. There was a clinic in front of my house. They offered me the use of the clinic, so I just had to cross the road and I could see patients. So on my good days, I would see patients as well. I developed a daily routine which I strongly recommend to everybody during my workshop. Ask yourself a question. So have one question, today's question. Am I living the life I want? Am I doing my best? Am I having a good relationship with my father, my mother, whatever? Have an affirmation. So I put today's affirmation. I write these down. So today's question, today's affirmation. Today's inspiration will be some little nugget which you read in some book or something inspirational, or you hear, or you see a YouTube video. So you write it down, think about it, reflect on it. Then every day I write 10 gratitude statements. I've been writing gratitude diary for 30 years. But now I was writing 3, now I'm writing 10. Because I don't know how many of you realize that every day, the fact that you woke up is something to be grateful for. The fact that you can be independent to do what you are doing is something to be grateful for. The cup of coffee you drink, be grateful for that. The clothes on your body, the roof over your head, there's so much to be grateful for. And if you remind yourself about being grateful and counting your blessings, always your life will be better. Then another thing we all find it very difficult to do is our self-esteem. How many of you can get up right now and say, I am wonderful, I am beautiful, I am efficient, I am this and that, and talk about your good qualities without feeling shy or embarrassed? You have to give yourself. So write there 3 things. I am a generous person, I am a kind person, I am something else, I am something else. So write that down and boost your self-esteem. Then you make a to-do list in which you put all the daily chores that you have to do. Now most of us do that. But no, today I will do 3 random acts of kindness. So make a plan for that day, what good thing you're going to do. Then you make a not to do list. The not to do list, today I will not lose my temper. That will be a not to do list. And last but not least, write down a burning desire you have which you want to come true. I want my epicenter to have a wonderful 25th anniversary. Express it. When you do these things every day, you tell me after about 20 minutes of, that's all it takes, of this, will you or will you not feel good? So when I was undergoing my treatment, I embraced my treatment, I thanked it for helping me, and requested my treatment not to do collateral damage, too much collateral damage, because radiation, chemotherapy all have a lot of collateral damage. I talked to my body, treated my body lovingly, and thanked it for healing. I did meditations for self-healing. I drank holy water from Balaji temple, from Lourdes, from Mecca. I Udi from Sai Baba. And I was a very good patient, though they thought as a doctor I'll be a bad patient. I obeyed all my allopathy doctors' advices. I had foot massages, I did distant pranic healing, I listened to shlokas, listened to mantras. I did all of that. Why I'm telling you about this is I took a holistic approach for my healing. But at the same time, I never took risks and I stayed safe. So it is not desirable to say chemotherapy is the best, this is the best. I feel if I'm standing here in front of you today, it's the miraculous combination of all this plus my attitude. Now I'd like to just end. I'm not telling you anything more in my life because I think I've had a wonderful life. And if you have listened to the thing, I didn't even realize it till I read through what I'd written for this talk. Every third paragraph, I'm saying I had a lovely life, I had a good childhood. I seem to be grateful already. It's coming from the heart. So I wrote a poem. I used to give an award for Girl Child of the Year to some girl child who is achieving in spite of disability or difficulty or disease. And this was for one child. Long ago I wrote this poem. So I'd like to end by just reading out that poem. It's called When Cancer Calls. She walks, she talks, she even laughs. But through it all, one sees the unwept tears, the hurts and fears when cancer calls. Doleful eyes, sore and red, with silent moaning in her bed. Pain she has seen in measure untold. It's where she's been that has made her bold. Drips and drugs that make her sick, jabs and rays to make her tick, an aching belly, a gnawing knee, facing all that has to be, standing tall, conquering all, she saw it through. Now, brave and strong, here she is before you.